want to sneak out, I just go behind the cameras.
Welcome to Bridgeport Now. My name is Robert Foley. Bridgeport Now is a live TV show coming direct to you every week now that the pandemic is over. And today's topic is going to be the city council elections in Bridgeport. You know, so much has been said about the city council and what's going on. It's like you read a story almost every day in the newspaper, and we are going to have maybe a fresh face for city council members in the city of Bridgeport. Today, we're honored to have some of the candidates who are running for the city council here, and we're going to introduce them and have them a chance to talk about what they're interested in. And let's look at some of the slides of what we're going to see and the topics that we're going to see in this show. So as you see, here is a map of the different districts and some of the candidates who will be on this show tonight and the districts that they are in. There are many districts in Bridgeport and many interesting topics. It seems like there's a topic almost every week or month that has something to do with misconduct or some sort of city council scandal, some sort of court case. People have been indicted. There has been a range of cases in Bridgeport that some people in the Connecticut state even call corrupticut. They say, let us live in interesting times, and I think that's true. We have a scandal with the police chief in Bridgeport, really a wide range of issues, including absentee ballots, which some say has some allegations of fraud. So we are going to speak to some of the candidates here in Bridgeport, right here, right now, in this live TV show, and we'll be back right after this. And we're back. Our first candidate. Welcome to the show.
How are you?
Great. And you're going to look right into that camera one and tell us about your interest in running for city council and what district you're in and what should we know about that district.
All right.
You got to hold the mic right here. Then you got to look right into the camera.
All right. I feel like Bob Barker. Cool. All right. My name is Aikeem Boyd. I'm running for the city council seat in the 133rd district. I actually grew up in that district. My family's been in Bridgeport since the 40s. I'm a graduate of Central High School, 5-year veteran of the United States Navy. I've only been in politics since I was a kid. The opportunity presented itself, and here I am.
Great. And we're going to, if you stand right there, he can look at you so he can talk to you.
Yeah.
And so tell us more about Bridgeport and why you care about running.
Well, I love this city. I'm a product of this city. And for the last, I'd say, 20 plus years, our politics have put us in a national spotlight for all the wrong reasons. And I think it's time for a change. It's been time for a change, to be quite honest with you. But I just want to do my part, bring back some integrity and decency to the city council.
And what about, what sort of things, what bothers you about the current city council and what they're doing, and how would you do something different?
It seems the city council, as presently constructed, has basically been a lapdog for the past 3 administrations. There is no checks or balances, and that's what we need. And the city charter obviously needs to be revised, but I think you just need people. You need strong characters on city council, and I think me and these other three candidates offer that.
Great. And so tell us about maybe the election process. They have primaries coming up. How does that work? And then the
We
election.
have a primary September 14th for registered Democrats. You can register same day. And then we have the general election November 4th. 2nd. It's in November.
November 2nd. So what's it like running? Is Bridgeport a tough city to run against existing candidates or what?
I mean, Bridgeport's a tough city, and to be from Bridgeport, you gotta have character. Going door to door, I've met some very interesting people. So far, they've been receptive to my campaign. They're aware of what's going on, and they're about sick and tired of it too. And you know, I offer my platform of anti-corruption, good governance, increasing education, simple things that they respond to. And so far, the response has been well received.
You know, those sound like good titles that we could have right here on the TV. Anti-corruption, what was the other word? Good governance?
Good governance.
Okay, so here's some of the topics that we have, and we're gonna give you, obviously, your time to speak about what your thoughts are, and then we have the other three candidates. What do you, I don't know if you want to talk about this topic. Is this a topic you want to talk about, or not really?
Not really.
Okay, so let's just continue the conversation. You don't have to necessarily mention who's running now if you don't want to, but what would you do different if you were a city council member?
You mean who I'm running against?
Yeah.
So compared to the other people I'm running with, in the 133rd, there's 2 city council people per district. I have a young lady who's still in the city council, and a gentleman who resigned 2 weeks ago for, I believe, voter fraud.
Voter fraud?
Voter fraud. It's like, yet again, here we go.
Do we have a slide for that? Let's go through the slides. Which one is that? I don't know which one that is. Allison, could you go in there and see if you can find which one it is?
Yeah, that gentleman. So I'm running for
this guy. You're saying that this guy got in trouble for voter fraud?
Correct. Correct. He was on the city council. He was a member of the Democratic Town Committee, and I guess about 2-3 weeks ago it came out that as a landlord he was forging signatures.
He forged signatures
for votes.
You can put his picture in behind him if you want.
Again, it was just like, yet again, you know, when is enough enough? I believe this gentleman was a bartender at Testo's.
But this guy was a bartender at Testo's restaurant.
I believe so, yes. That's what they
And he
tell me.
became a city council member.
Yes, that's how easy it is.
And then maybe I should get a job there as a bartender. But then he got in trouble. He was indicted for forging signatures?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's just in my district. My race is relatively tame compared to the other districts.
But there's no alleged corruption in other districts, is there?
There's alleged corruption in all of the city of Bridgeport. But I'm saying compared to her district, it's mine's. It's embarrassing, but it's still, you know, it's not as embarrassing as what they're dealing with.
Wow. Okay. Well, is there anything else you wanted to add?
Soon my campaign will be hosting fundraisers because, you know, we need money. And we're going to be going door to door more and more, introducing myself to voters all across the city, all across the district. And I hope to see you along the way.
What about, well, that's great. You know, I appreciate all that. Did you want to speak a little more about your background, or?
As far as what?
I don't know, education or?
A product of Bridgeport Public Schools. Again, I graduated Central High School 2007. After my service in the Navy, I did Fordham University, graduated 2017, Bachelor's of Political Science. And I'm probably going to go back to school, but I'm not sure for what yet.
Great, that's great. Well, listen, I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts about the city council.
I appreciate that.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And we're going to go to our next you can put that title in, what the show is about, and we're going to go to the next candidate after this. You could bring down the... Welcome back to the show. We're talking to Bridgeport City Council candidates. There are 20 city council members, and there's a lot going on in the city, and it looks like we might have some new faces at the city council this year. So we're going to introduce our next candidate here on this live TV show. If you go to camera 1, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So if you could tell us your name and what district you're in, and
Hi, my name is Dasha, and I'm running for City Council in the 132nd District. I am a mother, a homeowner, a business owner, and a lifelong resident of Bridgeport. I graduated out of the Bridgeport Public School System, went to college and came back because this is my foundation. The main reason why I'm running is because over the past 7 years since my daughter has been in the school district, I have actually personally got more and more involved and invested in not only the Board of Education, but also the politics of the city. And looking at my neighborhood, our education system, and just the continual corruption that goes on year after year, I decided that I needed to step up and actually stop complaining and being part of the solution. So I decided to run for city council this year. I am running as a single candidate, so no, I do not have a co-council person I'm running with. But my motto is, you have one voice, one vote, one choice. So vote for me, Dasha Spell, for city council.
that is so great. Great to hear.
Thank you.
And tell us, it's so great to hear these positive, optimistic views. Tell me, is there anything that bothers you about city government at this point here in Bridgeport?
The lack of accountability and transparency. And there is no community collaborative. In our government, if you look at the purpose of a city council person, it's to be a role model and to be an advocate for the constituents. We don't have that right now. And that bothers me the most. Every time you look in the Connecticut Post, you cut on the TV, you're seeing one of our elected officials being indicted, being arrested, or having charges filed against them.
And we have images of that too we can show, right? Of the indictments. I think we
Right.
have some images here from the Connecticut Post.
Yes. And the biggest thing is that our city is more than just the negativity that you see in the paper and the news. There's a lot more to actual people who are leaders in the community, but yet obviously it's the negative stuff. So my biggest issue is that we have elected officials that use their position as their playground, and as a community we suffer. And I'm just tired of it.
Well, that's a good point. I do read in the newspaper about that. We had something about absentee ballots. Is that something that you would be interested in talking about?
Yeah.
We can put that title on behind that also. That's a nice, the image you had
The
behind
segue
that.
to it.
Yeah.
So basically, absentee ballots is a huge issue in the city of Bridgeport. Anyone that Googles Bridgeport politics, absentee ballots comes up as the #1 catcher or headliner. Reason being is that, once again, our elected officials, city employees, community members used absentee ballots actually to win the elections for the endorsed candidates. What they do is that they go out and they tell people, if you need an absentee ballot, you don't have to go to the polls. You can just fill out this form. Matter of fact, just sign it and I'll fill it out for you. Or what they do is that once the application has been submitted to the registrar's office and they know that the actual form has been sent out, they'll go to the home and be like, you know what, just sign it and I can fill it out for you, I can help you. Or for some people, they've been bullied or told if you didn't vote for this person, you lose like your benefits or resources. And especially our senior citizens. Our senior citizens and our bilingual families who may not have like full foundations or connections with the community, or even, here on a visa, they use these particular populations to actually get these absentee ballots in, and then they manipulate these people to either, sign away your right to vote, your voice, by doing these absentee ballots. And what people don't realize is that even though you are going to fill out an absentee ballot, if you decide to go to the polls the day of the election, your absentee ballot becomes null and void, and your actual vote at the machine, which is the polling station, will count. So once again, for those of you who are fearful, who know for a fact that they're going to be coming knocking at your door, because we know that the absentee ballots applications came out in January, and a lot of city officials and city workers have been out knocking on doors and getting absentee ballots these past couple of months before even the Democratic Town Committee convention. And the biggest thing is that also people have to understand, when you get your actual ballot, you're not supposed to let anybody else touch it but yourself or your designated person. You don't have to give anyone your ballot. You can mail it in yourself. You can drop it in the drop box in front of City Hall at 99 Broad Street, the Morton Center, or once again, you can go to the polls. The only way absentee ballot fraud and the scandal that goes along with it will ever stop is if we start to understand that every vote does count, your voice is important, and that you can always go to the polls and make your vote count.
That is so amazing that this is going on in the city. It's just so hard to believe that at this day and age that you can change elections by that. Have there been efforts to investigate?
Yes. For example, we have, during the 2019 mayoral election, we had a huge scandal, and we actually had Senator Marilyn Moore running against our current mayor, Joseph Ganim. And once again, we had groups like Generation Now, as well as other people, come out and sue and actually make complaints about the absentee ballots. Went to the courts, and this is what happens also with the rules and regulations. It works for some and not for others. When it comes to being convicted of an absentee ballot, the most you'll do is get a fine. And you may be told, like, you can't run for an elected or an appointed position for a couple of years, and then you can come back and do it again. Because there's a lot of elected officials that have been convicted of absentee ballot fraud in the past, and then waited a couple years, came back, and still doing the same thing. So there's always that monopoly, and what people don't realize is that Bridgeport politics impacts a lot that goes on, not only in Bridgeport, not only in Fairfield County, but also in the state as a whole.
It's so funny. What was the original purpose of absentee ballots, and has the current state gone beyond that?
So the original purpose was for people who, for example, if you're a college student and you'll be away at college and you're not able to vote, if you're a senior citizen that is unable to actually make it out of your home, for someone who's disabled, Basically, those people who cannot physically get to the polls is what it was originally for, as well as for people who serve in our U.S. military services that are deployed and not able to vote. It still is supposed to be for them that have the ability to be able to still vote, even though they can't physically make it to the polls. With COVID happening last year, what ended up happening, they extended that to also COVID purposes as well, because as we know, a lot of people are still concerned. We have the Delta variants going on right now, and people are still worried and concerned as the numbers are starting to rise again. So they added that extra stipulation, but at the end of the day, it's all about people who are not able to physically get to the polls, and this is their opportunity to still vote. But in Bridgeport, it gets manipulated to something else.
I see. You know, this is a really interesting topic, and we're going to have a title on the TV in a moment so that people could call in. And what we're going to do is, I want to come back to you on this topic, on the absentee ballot fraud allegations, and have a phone number for people to call in. And why not, you know, there's so much to talk about, right? Is there anything else? Why don't you tell me a little bit about your background?
So I'm actually a licensed professional counselor, an addiction counselor as well, so I'm a co-occurring therapist. I have a private practice, and I also am an independent contractor. I've worked in 5 out of the bunch of school districts across the state due to my mental health background, and as well as I've done multiple things. For example, in Bridgeport, last year I had the honor of facilitating a Day of Healing call to action event where we brought resources that usually are be in the offices into the community, especially because last year was the 2020 census. So we were able to have a station for people to do the 2020 census in the community, mobile, as well as voter registration. We had the community outreach department of the police department of Bridgeport out at this event as well, because people need to know that not all police officers are bad, and we can work with our police officers when we have the right people in the mix. As well as just letting people know about addiction, mental health, what kind of resources are available, like the Alliance, AKA for those of y'all, ABCD was out in the community. And it also shows that providers want to actually touch the residents and talk to them and interact with them. And these are all resources that are free and available to the community that a lot of times, not to be funny, some of our local officials don't talk about or share with the constituents. And also in the past, I have the opportunity of doing and creating a collaborative called the Bridgeport Community Collaborative for Youth and Families, where once again we were able to address mental health, education, employment, basic resources for the youth and their families, because at that time we had a lot of our youth, 25 and under, that were being killed in the streets. And what people don't realize is that a lot of time our youth that are in the streets don't want to be in the streets, but because as adults, as leaders, we forget about them, or we think that they don't want to change, isn't the case. So these are some of the things that I have done in my career so far. Key phrase is so far, because I'm the kind of person, if you want to do something, you do it. And right now, COVID has taught us a lot of things are going on in life. So don't sit back and say, I wish. Try it. If you fail, okay. If you succeed, okay. But at least you can say you tried it.
That's so great. Is there anything else you wanted to add, maybe about your educational background or anything?
So I'm gonna go old school on y'all. My elementary school was Roosevelt. Mr. Tinkler days, those of y'all who remember Mr. Tinkler and Mr. Walker and all of them. I went to Bassett High School. I went to Southern Connecticut State University for my undergrad and my graduate.
Very good. Well, that was very informative, and I really appreciate you sharing that with us. If we have time, I'd like to come back to you And that's a great way to show who's going to be running with these slides that we have. So thank you very much. And we're going to move to the next candidate.
Okay.
So we have a slide. Do we have a slide for the next candidate? So you're watching Bridgeport Now. It's a live TV show right here in Bridgeport. We're talking about the Bridgeport City Council elections coming up. If you'd like to call in, the phone number is 203-345-0103. We're going to have our next candidate come up. And our next candidate, welcome to the show.
Hi.
And if you could introduce yourself, and we have a title we can put up there too, I think, right?
Yeah, hi. My name is Wanda Simmons, and I'm running for District 139, the East End of Bridgeport, for City Council.
Great, great. That's such a great chance that we have to have elections in the city of Bridgeport. Maybe you could describe what your district is like and why you're interested in running.
Well, I'm interested in running because I relocated back to Bridgeport in 2015, so I have been a resident of the East End for the last 7 years. I'm very much frustrated with the political climate that is going on. Our current incumbents are entrenched in a lot of unethical behaviors that has left the district in disarray. I'm frustrated that my district is filthy. I'm frustrated that our district seems to be the underarm of Bridgeport. I've heard a lot of stories, having been a member of the Eastern Community Council with Ted Meekins, and just sitting around that community table every Wednesday at 12 o'clock and listening to how families have been promised year after year after year that they were going to get some type of change and that the district would actually be a developed district. Currently today it's still destitute, it's still considered a food desert, and we're still getting promises. Everything is wait. Last election they promised us a casino. Everybody was high hopes for a casino because Bridgeport was going to get jobs and the East End was going to get jobs, and we see where that went. So I'm just really disgusted as a resident, as a mom, as a grandmother, and I'm looking to, really uplift where we live, and to, our campaign slogan is rise up and love where we live. And I think it's time that the East End rises up above the filth that it's currently experiencing, and just love where we live. Take accountability for the people that we put in office, the people that we continue to support. I don't understand the mindset over there. We have an incumbent, it's like a love-hate relationship with him. On one hand, you hate Ernie because of all the unscrupulous things that he's done, but he's very personable. He's very skilled in his speeches. He can he can talk you out of a wet paper bag. So he's very skilled in his language.
He's charismatic. Would you mind if we take a call? Is that okay?
Sure.
Bridgeport Now, you're on the air.
Yes, I'd like to speak to the lady about the casino.
Okay. What about the casino?
Yes.
Yeah, what about the casino?
What's your question?
My question is, the reason why Bridgeport did not get a casino, it wasn't the city of Bridgeport. It was the state of Connecticut and the two tribes, the Mohegan Sun and the Foxwood, that knocked it down. and all of the people in Stanford and Greenwich knocked it down because there would be too much traffic. That was the only reason why. Bridgeport wanted the casino. They had room for the casino, but guess what? They knocked it down. Not the city council, not anybody else, but the state of Connecticut. So you have to blame it on the state of Connecticut first, and then you blame it on the tribes. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And in response to your question, the blame shouldn't be put on anyone. I also was a part of a coalition that did not want casinos in Bridgeport. Faith-based, they did a study on how it would affect our community that's already distressed, our communities that are already dealing with a lot of addiction. So everybody in Bridgeport did not want a casino. And whatever the reason, it was just another, in my opinion, a campaign gimmick to promise us again and to get voters' hopes up, and it never was fulfilled. So it just goes along with all the campaign promises, so that's my response.
I see. Now you were talking about Ernie Newton. I get the sense that you said he was somewhat charismatic. Was there anything else you wanted to say about
Oh
him?
yeah, Ernie is very charismatic, so is our mayor, Joseph Ganem. They're two of the same cloth. We don't need charisma anymore. We need leaders that are actually going to do the job of the community. We need leaders that are going to be the voice of the constituents. We need leaders that are really going to deal with the issues in our district. So we don't need charisma anymore.
Right. You're at the 139th district. What are some of the streets in that district?
We have Stratford Avenue, we have Connecticut Avenue, we have Newfield Avenue, we have Hewitt Street, Carroll Avenue, Bunnell Street, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th Street. We have over on the Harding side, we have Boston Avenue, we have Somerville, North Ridgefield, we have East Avenue, we have Willow Street, we have Sage, Kent, so we have a lot of different streets. Remington and Dover. The district line actually stops at the hill, which is Tudor, which is where the new Harding High School is.
That's great. So is there anything else you wanted to add? Maybe your background or educational background or anything?
Sure. Some of the things that you hear is that we're unskilled and we don't understand legislation, we don't know the city charter, or we don't know about city ordinances. I'm an ex-realtor. I'm also a college graduate from Sacred Heart University. I also graduated from the American Institute of Banking. So I have a financial background. I do understand budgeting. I do understand economic development and everything that real estate involves. I'm also a parent leader, graduate 2017. I hold many titles in the community. Reading literacy volunteer. I volunteer at Tisdale School as a reading coach 1 year. I'm Mrs. Claus at Christmas time. I've done many community cleanups nationally. So I'm very involved, and I have been involved since 2015. When I moved back the second day, I knew Ted Meekins because his daughter and I are actually like sisters. So I went to him and I said, I really want to get involved in the community. He said, sure, just show up every Wednesday. At that time, it was at 1149 Stratford Avenue, and we would have our community meetings. And that's how I got involved, and that's how I've been involved. I've also been a Girl Scout leader, a troop of 32. I've also had youth programs in West Haven, Achieving the Dream. So I've done a lot of things in my years of 55 years old, and I'm very proud of a lot of my accomplishments. So I bring a lot of resources to the community. I identify with my community. A lot of things that the community is struggling with, I experienced those things, you know, as a teenager, you know, a troubled teenager. You know, I'm a foster child. Well, I was a foster child, you know, ward of the state. So, you know, I understand the hurdles that our children have to go through, you know, dealing with rejection and abandonment and just feeling like, you know, you're all alone, you know, and just trying to find yourself. So it took me 55 years to find out who I am. I never would have thought that I would be in politics. I've always loved politics, but I never really thought that I would be running for an election. You know, it was actually Ted Meekins who encouraged me after 2 years in 2017 to run for city council. And I was like, well, what is a city council person? What do they do? And they said, well, you've been doing it. You know, and I thought about it. At first I said no, because I saw the grime and stuff. You know, when you run for politics, it can get very nasty. You know, I've been accused of a lot of things, and, you know, mean things are being said about me and my family, and, you know, you're human and you take those things to heart. But at the end of the day, I gave it a second thought, and I ran. I ran in 2017, and as the first time, I only lost by 7 votes. You know, and so that's why I'm back again. You know, I want all those people that supported me back in 2017 to get out and vote again, and you know, new voters, young voters, old voters, just get out, because we can do this. You know, we can rise above where we are. You know, currently, not only Ernest Newton, but our my other incumbent, Anita. You know, unfortunately, there was a death in the district, you know, an abuse of power, where we have high-ranking officials opening illegal bars and having prostitution and teenagers drinking with guns, and, you know, and someone lost their life. We can't forget that. You know, her case is being continued until December. It's like, how entrenched is this girl that you can walk out of the courts and with a promise to appear, and a family is dealing with the death of their child? You know, so these are things that we cannot forget. You know, these are things that have to be addressed, and these are things that we should no longer tolerate. I'm very disgusted that after all that she's done, you know, the bullying, the abuse of power, you know, the scandal, you know, in her personal life, you know, being abused, and all of those things in the newspaper. We need people that our children can look up to. And right now, I don't feel that any of our leaders at this point are worthy of being an example, especially for my grandchildren. You know, so we need to do better. We need leaders that are running. We have strong leaders. We have people that are experienced, people that have been involved in the community, people that really want to see Bridgeport get better. So I'm asking everyone to come out and vote for the new challengers, so that we can you know, make a change in Bridgeport for the better.
You think it's a time for change in Bridgeport?
Oh, it's definitely a time of change. This is way past a time of change. You know, it has to happen in this election. You know, they say if you keep doing the same thing the same way, it's called insanity. You know, if you keep voting for the same people, nothing's going to change. They can promise you anything. Of course they're going to promise you a whole bunch of stuff. Of course they're going to come out and take credit for things that they had nothing to do. They had nothing to do with the Newfield Library. Actually, it was me who spent numerous hours going to the library board meetings, and you know, I was a part of the design of the library. So I'm very eager to see this library open, but it's not open, and we can't get a straight answer. And I just think that's so unfair to the community. There's no transparency. This democratic process is not welcoming. You know, it's very closed and secretive, and then you find out all of this corruption is going on. We need a transparent government. We need people that are for the people, voices of the people. And our current incumbents are not voices of the people. They have told us we can do whatever we want to do when we want to do it, irregardless of how their voters feel. And I think that should not be acceptable.
And we need to tell people, you want to tell people what road to vote for?
Vote for line B, September the 14th.
That's what you'd like to vote for, row B, line B, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, that's wonderful. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back with our next candidate for Bridgeport City Council. You're watching Bridgeport Now, a live TV show that will be on YouTube, and it's also netcast. So we have our next candidate coming up who is going to tell us why he would like to run for City Council right here in the fine city of Bridgeport. And we're going to put his title up too. Great. Well, welcome to the show. And if you could introduce yourself.
My name is Joseph Grits Thompson.
Welcome to the show, Joseph. Tell us about.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Tell us why you're interested in running for city council.
Because I've been doing the city council's work for the past decade, which I feel like they're supposed to be speaking for the people, an advocate for the people, and I've been doing that, without a title. I've been an activist, a community activist for the past decade as well, and on the North End, it's been a uptick in violence and things like that. And when things like that go down, it's me that comes to the scene, when it's a child murdered or adult murdered. And, so I just feel like, I've run my course doing the grassroots of it, and I think I could do better for my district, better for Bridgeport as a whole, getting in that seat and being in them board meetings, which as a resident, as a taxpaying citizen, I'm always zoomed in to the city council meetings, and I always, they know me real well. Especially last year, I voiced my opinion quite a few times, even during the pandemic, and especially when we had a lot of social injustice going on throughout the country, and specifically in Bridgeport, because it holds true here as well. So that's the main reason, I'm running, because I feel like I've been standing for the 135th district. So it's time for me to, take a new level into politics to help the North End.
Is that what your t-shirt says?
My t-shirt says "Walk for Joe." That's my Walk for Joe. So I want people to walk for Joe, walk to the polls. Got 21 on this side. So that's what it stands for. Walk for the polls. I mean, I know the COVID is going on as well right now, so you can do the absentee ballots, but we want people to get into them polls, because we know in Bridgeport the absentee ballots has led to a lot of mishaps and confusion, and we don't want that to happen this year, because more than just my district, all the districts need to face a change, and we're definitely going to make that happen.
What are some of the streets in that 135th district?
North End is pretty big. So you got City View, Grandview, Platte, Woodlawn Avenue, Valley, Chopsy Hill Road, Reservoir. Oh man, you got a lot. Houston Ave.
I see.
Old Town Road.
Yeah, I can picture it. And what you think the current city council members are doing a good job?
No, because to be honest, the people, the two council that I'm running against, I only met one in person, and I only knew of her from last year. So to be a resident of the North End for over 20 years, and even my mother as well being a resident, my mother still, don't know who the two women are. And I've knocked on doors, throughout the year, not even just the past few weeks, and the residents don't know who the city council is. And a lot of people skip over the September 14th primary. So I'm like really trying to get that implemented like in people's minds, because a lot of people just think of November 2nd main election. And this is how these incumbents, how they just kind of skip over and get into the seat. But you know, we're tired of it. We're tired of what's going on in Bridgeport as a whole. And me being a resident of the North End, the only thing I could do is run for my district. And just earlier today, I visited a housing project out there in the Cedar Filth, and to see, you know, things that I feel like the city council, not saying they have control or they should be the ones that pick up the trash and do things, but they should speak against or ask the people how can they help and how can they change. And these are things that I've been doing for the past decade. I'm well known, and you know, the people, it's not only me that said, oh, I want to run. The people, they chose me, and they said, you know, Joe, run for office. And you know, we're gonna start, you know, from the bottom to the top, and the first thing is city council.
That's great. I should mention that this is the Democratic primary elections. We didn't have room on the title, but I think there's only Democratic city council members. There's not one Republican city council member. There used to be one recently. But you say that you've done a lot for the city. Can you give us some examples?
Every summer I do a book bag giveaway. If it's not a set location event, I would literally pack my car full of book bags and ride through the housing projects and streets. And if I see a kid, I'll stop him. And if he or she needs a book bag, I'll give it to him.
What is a book bag?
You said, what is a book bag?
Yeah.
Well, you know, a book bag for school, you know, educational tools.
Oh, you mean like a knapsack or something? To carry their books.
Yeah, to carry their books and their you know.
Oh, because some
like
kids
that.
don't have them, right?
Yes, I mean, if they don't necessarily, I won't say, you know, yearly I've done this, but you know, whether the quality or being stolen, you know, a child wants to go to school fresh, so they always want like a new book bag, a new style, and different things like that. So I try to, you know, keep those going. And you know, other than that, I've hosted several basketball events. I'm also a city league basketball coach. You know, I'm actually I'm hosting an event on Saturday, and I'm also speaking at another basketball tournament. And you know, the North End right now, the children out there, I won't speak against like elders, but they want to see somebody who understands, you know, social media and what their mental health and what they're going through. And you know, to my children, I'm old, but to community and even to run for election, I got some youth in me that could relate to the issues that we're having on the North End. And once again throughout Bridgeport, because I've helped throughout Bridgeport, but you know, the council, you got to run for your district. So
it sounds like you have a good relationship with the community. How do you feel that can help you if you become city council person?
They know my face. They know my face. You know, a lot of people know me through my alias. You know, so I do have to break in the fully Joseph Thompson. But the community knows my face. The government officials in City Hall and downtown, they know my face, whether it's standing with them or against them. So I feel like you know, the role I play is major because a lot of the kids, from my troubled, and you know, I'm never ashamed of my history and my past, but my troubled adolescence, the children that these officials, these government officials say they want to save and help, I was one of them children. And the fact that some of them try to discourage me and put me down, it's a bit odd if you're trying to save these children and you see one seed that was able to grow to blossom into a beautiful flower, a beautiful tree, and now, you know, not take my earnings or my elevation and leave the city or go elsewhere, but reach back down and give back to those who need it, you know. So that's what I'm here for. I plan on, of course, I'm running. I'll be on the ballot, but win or lose, I won't stop. And I noticed that about a lot of candidates that run. You know, they lose and then they stop what they're doing. This is what I've been doing for free for like I said, more than a decade. So, you know, my face will still be out there.
And what do you think that the youth of Bridgeport need at this point, the future of our city?
The violence throughout the city, which the other challengers of the districts will all work together to bring in peace in the ongoing violence that we have from different districts going against each other. I believe love and mental health. Mental health is always key because as a child, I feel like I was damaged mentally that led me to go astray for a little bit. So more mental health in the classes, and after these violence that take place in these areas of the districts that we live in, and nobody's knocking on the door to see if that child who lost their mother or father is doing well. And once again, that's a role that I've been doing for the past decade. For nothing, just because I got a heart and I got love for my people. All people, all shades of color, all brackets, all incomes, all walks of life. As that's what my slogan with Walk is. It's for all walks of life. Short, tall, baby to the old. So that's basically my stance on everything right there.
That's so interesting to hear. The kids are the future of the city. I used to interview on Connecticut Avenue for my public access show, and one of the things that somebody said to me was that there's not enough things for young people in the city, and that's one of the reasons why they turn to other things. Not
to cut you off, but out of all the districts, and I might be wrong, somebody may correct me, but my district is the only district that doesn't have a weekly center open. We have a center, but it's not open throughout the day for children. They open it like when they want to, and somebody has the key where I don't know the reason why the center can't be open, but that's a part of my plan is to keep that center on Trumbull Ave open for the whole 135th district, so these kids could get classes on financial literacy and a lot of things that me growing up in that district I wasn't taught in high school. In elementary and middle school, and I learned just a few, maybe 5 years ago as an adult, as a man, and that's a big, major problem with our community right now. Is the education, and once again, though I'm fighting to win the 135th district. That's something I'm gonna make sure me and my challengers, when they win as well, will all work for a plan to just make it better for Bridgeport as a whole.
That is so great. We have the election coming up on September 14th. We're going to show a title. Just let's go to the take us out of the camera for a moment. We're just going to show a title. If you'd like to volunteer for one of the city council members, Aikeem's campaign, before the show is over. I meant to show this when he was on TV. You can go to this website that he has. We'll show that for a moment here on bitly.com, Team Aikeem. So you can join his campaign if you go to that website. And that was Aikeem who was just on TV for a moment. Okay, so let's put Joe back on just as we finish up here. Did you want to add anything else, maybe about your educational background?
Longtime resident of Bridgeport, graduated from Central High School in 2003. I took some classes at Central Connecticut University, and I was enrolled at Briarwood College as well. That's my educational background. And like I said, I'm not ashamed. People know me. So as well as me being educational through the school system, this is Bridgeport. We're not gonna act like it's another city. So I am also street educated, and that's very important in all districts. And all I'm saying in that is just being aware of where you live in and just the atmosphere, which could you could fall or rise from it. So I just wanted to say that, as well as I wanted to say, for those that don't know me, you can follow me on Facebook at Thompson and Collins, and check into more of me and what I plan on bringing to the 135th district. And I appreciate this Soundview TV.
Well, that's so great. We're going to put thank you so much for being on. We're going to put that, just a shout out again to this website here. If you wanted to volunteer, I think that you could be in touch with any of the city council members at this website. Thank you very much for being on. I don't know if, who was the person that was talking about the absentee ballots, if they wanted to come back on? Yes, you want to come back on and we'll just talk about the absentee ballots. If you wanted to, like I say, to join that campaign, you can hit that website. And you're watching Bridgeport Now. We're just getting the last couple minutes. We're just going to touch on this absentee ballot. Who was that was saying that they lost by 7 votes? Was that Wanda? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just amazing. You can put me in the camera if you want. So yeah, you're watching Bridgeport Now, and we're talking about the campaigns, the election that's coming up. And it's really amazing that sometimes, if you think that, well, voting doesn't count, tell us why, maybe you can tell us about why voting counts and what maybe role absentee ballots has.
The reason why voting counts is because that is your voice. That is how our elected officials get into office, but that's also how you are able to be a part of the process. When you vote, you're voting for a person, a candidate that is supposed to represent you, represent the community, and be invested in the community. And the best thing is that they are supposed to be coming from the community, which is something that a lot of people don't know. You have appointed elected officials that don't live in the area, but they're making decisions for the area. And when we have absentee ballots, what it does is that it slays the actual balance of our government and our democracy. We're supposed to be able to vote for who we want to vote for and have people in office that actually are going to do for us. However, when we have absentee ballot fraud going on, it takes away our rights, it takes away our democracy, it takes away our freedom of choice. And that's what happened in the last several elections in the city of Bridgeport. So once again, September 14th is the primaries for the Democratic election. You have 8 districts that are in the primaries. We need people to come out to the polls and vote. And if you're going to do an absentee ballot, don't send the ballot with anyone. You mail it yourself. You take it to the post office, or you take it to 999 Broad Street, the Morton Center, and you submit it yourself. Reason being is that we have that history of people using your name to falsify information in these actual elections.
Yeah, we should say maybe allegedly falsifying.
Sorry.
And we'll say alleged fraud, as we have in the title here, right? Don't we have it in the title?
We do have
allegations. So this is alleged, and so you can put me back on the camera because the show is actually just going to end. I want to thank you for tuning into the show. You can have the last word.
In regards to that, once again, we're asking for Bridgeport to come out, to show out September 14th, Dem against Dem.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we ran out of time. Didn't we run out of time? Thank you very much for watching the show. We'll see you next week.
Oh, it's hot.